Okay, call a meeting of CPOC to order. I understand we have no public speakers. That being the case, first item of business is approval of the minutes from the November meeting. It's been approved by Jim Blair. Seconded? Seconded. Any questions, changes, edits? None. All in favor say aye. Any opposed? Motion carries, or minutes are approved. Hillary, the committee work plan? Any changes?
No major changes. Two minor things. East Side Access was supposed to be part of this month's agenda. It's going to be moved to next month to give the project team some more time to clarify the situation regarding one of the contracts, which Michael will talk about. And Fulton Street, similarly, the Fulton Center was supposed to be this month. We're moving it to March to give time for the risk assessment. The risk assessment. No, but not the risk assessment.
Oh, not the risk assessment.
Right.
Right. Okay. Capital construction?
Okay.
Dr. H., it's all yours.
Okay. Fulton Center. The overall project on schedule for June 14. We have that. And it's right now it's trending below budget, the budget being $1.4 billion. The program, we have opened the Day Street entrance in October, and the Corbin building scaffolding on John Street has been removed, so anyone that wants to see the finishes can walk around and see it. It will be completed in effect by the end of the year when we remove the other scaffolding. The Fulton Center curtain wall.
Michael, could you just give a two-sentence description of the Corbin building post when it is, if you will, operational or available?
What would happen to it once we're done?
Yes.
It is part of our master leasee, and it will be rented out depending on exactly how, we do not know, but we expect that to be a commercial establishment in various levels. It is connected at a number of locations with the Corbin, the Fulton Center itself. So some of the floors, the second and the third, will be able to connect into the Corbin building. The remainder of the floors are being, in effect, serviced by elevators, and we don't know what's going to be there, but we expect that to be rented out.
All right. And the rental, the leasing activity has not begun yet, then?
The leasing activity will not start until our master leasee will be selected and will be in place, and that's if you look at the look ahead, I guess we're going to start soon the selection of the master leasee. We expect them by the summer to have them. Okay? Any other questions?
Sorry to interrupt.
Not a problem. The installation of the curtain wall along the Fulton Center, this is the glass, is about 60% complete. The expectation is that we will be done by February, and we fell behind here. We expected to have ended it by now, in the end of December, but we're going to be about a month and a half late there. Again, no impact on the rest, but that's the completion date is still the same. Go next to the cost schedule performance. We are as planned in the overall total project, and third-party construction. We are ahead of the projection, and right now we expect to finish actually, if nothing happens, it will be finished before actually June 2014. Yes.
Can we go back to your master lessee for just a minute? And maybe, I'm sure you've said this and I've just lost it. Are you looking to get a commitment from that party for compensation to the MTA for space, and then he goes out on his own to see how he can do, or is he on a commission? How do you deal with the private purpose and all that stuff?
Right now what we're doing is we are in the process of selecting through an RFP process a master leasee that will, in effect, part of the proposal that the proposals that we are looking at is how are they looking to compensate us, because they will have to, in effect, maintain this facility, and based on whatever provisions we have in our contract with them, they will have to go out and then lease the property. In addition to that, they will also looking at the electronic advertising that is part of the whole thing. And in effect, at the end of the day, the question is, do they owe us money, or we owe them money? It's not clear.
Yeah, Mark, let me get Rosen from Real Estate to talk to you about this. This is very, very similar to what the Port Authority did once before, pre-9/11, for their space downstairs, as well as what they're looking at now. It's not a private purpose issue in here, as I've been told, because the purpose is still for the train station downstairs, but how the rental space upstairs gets worked out in their revenue, which will mostly come from advertising, but the requirement that they clean it, they will also be releasing it out.
I would love to.
I will have them talk to you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Looking at the contingency, the project he still has a significant amount of contingency in schedule, as well as cost. We still have about $54 million in our budgetary contingency, about $3 million less than what we had before, and we're still maintaining a 140 days of scheduled contingency. Again, we had an issue that was resolved, the interim maintenance for Day Street entrance and elevator, and we placed it, so therefore that will come off as an issue. The next one is the master leasee, and we received proposal December 7, and we are now in the process of evaluating proposals, and that will be done by the summer of 2013. That's all about Fulton Transit, Fulton Center, I'm sorry.
And now for the report from the IEC, Bob Hester.
Yes, the schedule, project is on schedule, and while the overall performance curve is on schedule, the transit center enclosure contract performance is currently behind schedule and requires accelerated manpower. Project is on budget, and cost contingency trend is favorable beyond that which is recognized by the project team. A recommendation that we have is to devise alternative scenarios to deal with the potential impacts of the DDC Broadway water main replacement. And the prior recommendation that we had from the last CPOC, the project team has implemented the maintenance plan as discussed, and we have accepted, and everything is currently under implementation.
Are there any? Yes, Mark.
The budget that we're on was determined when?
2009.
Mark, also the mention of DDC, that's about replacing the water main on Broadway. It looks like once we open, they're going to open up the street in front, so we're trying to work with them. Yeah, I know, about right. See if they can advance that sooner so we can. Sorry. How's everything on Warren Street? Everything okay? Okay. Any other questions or comments for either the IEC or Michael? All right. Michael, off to Second Avenue South.
Second Avenue. We are on schedule to meet the December 2016 revenue service date, and we are on budget. The progress is basically we completed all of the blasting in the cavern at 72nd Street. They were later, about 1 month than what we originally wanted, but it was all behind us. It says here received bids, but
is that 1 month related to our incident?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. There was a the master blaster decided to have it all blow at once instead of in seriatim.
It was August 21st this year. Well, we normally refer, that's exactly what happened at 72nd Street. It was a non-controlled, but that's okay. Well, okay, that's okay. You know, we said it in writing, so, you know, what else can I say? It says they received bids on 72nd Street. That's not correct. Tomorrow we are receiving bids on the finishes, so that somehow someone jumped ahead. We're going to be continuing the blasting at 86th Street, and we complete all blasting in the next 90 days at 72nd and 69th Street for the ancillary entrances. And we expect to award the 72nd Street station system and advertise. At the end of this month, we are advertising for 86th Street finishes, and that will, in effect, complete all of the contract that we expect to have on 2nd Avenue subway project.
Michael, excuse me.
Yes.
96th Street station has been,
Awarded
when was that awarded?
about 4 months ago.
4 months ago. I must have missed that somehow.
Yeah, yeah. Potentially because the same contractor that's doing the cavern work is also the low bidder on that.
Oh,
So
okay.
Cruz Talley is the same contractor, so potentially gets lost in the
Thanks.
shuffle. Yeah. The schedule and cost performance are basically pretty much on schedule, and we expect that to continue the same way. Next. Thank you. The schedule contingency is, we in effect, in July 2009, we started with 186 days, and current schedule contingency is about 90 days, same as last report. One of the things that impacted our schedule is the fact that 86th Street Award was late by 4 months, and we took a big chunk of time out of our schedule because of that. We are trying right now to restore an additional 40 to 60 days back to the schedule, and we yet to have closure on that and how we're going to do that. We're looking at a variety of things, but we do not have yet the magic bullet to do that. Regarding contingency, cost contingency, we have right now basically $386 million in contingency for the remaining work. That is about 120%. We started with less when we started the project. So we added to the contingency rather than reducing it. So that's a good thing, and we expect to try to keep that the same way. So that's where we are as far as dollar contingency. Next. 86 station cavern schedule. Again, this is, we had a loss of 4 months at award, and that had to do with a Buy American item that eventually there was, in effect, unfortunately, a bureaucratic error, and it took 4 months to clear it. Right now, we are working. We are not yet been able to recover the 4 months. We are blasting. We actually were able to. We had also some delays due to Sandy, but we're able to recover that. And we're still looking for ways to be able to do that. And but the contract still continues to be on the critical path.
Question for you.
Yeah.
That's going back the page to 86th Street. That will be the last contract for 2nd Avenue Subway? There won't be any after that?
No, there is one for 86th Street coming to finish this work. This is just the
original.
The
Okay.
original
Okay.
contract, okay?
Right.
This is the 5B contract. 5C will be
Got it.
advertised at the end of December.
Architecture.
And then that will
That's
be the last one.
absolutely.
And we're advertising for that
The
shortly.
end of this month.
Right. Yes, Mark?
To make your life miserable. This contingency, which is now higher than when you started, do you ever take it down?
What do you mean?
Do you ever lower the amount that you figure you have
Only when we
there
spend
as-
the money.
Yes, I know.
Or when it's over, you give the money back, or whatever. I mean,
You don't, as an operating matter, take it down along the
No,
way?
no. I know how the city operates. No, we don't.
It's rare to have this here.
Yes. Well, I would just, observe that maybe It would, in fact. If your original judgment was that you didn't need a contingency of that size, why would you leave it there? I mean, it means that the resource isn't available for something else, and it also means that in running the project, you think you have this marvelous margin.
I do.
In the back of my mind, I'm actually thinking about what else it can be used for, though I view it as a source to potentially help some other large capital project. So I'm not, I understand, Mark. Instead of taking it and directly putting it somewhere else, we know it's there with the hope that it'll move there when we don't need it.
As long as it stays there.
We expect that to be the case.
Yes. Jim?
Without meaning to put you in an uncomfortable position, but what the hell?
After my flight, nothing can match that.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. My impression is that this project, consistent with Mark's comments, has been going pretty well, and I'm just wondering whether in your experience and with your experience, you would say that this has really been working out pretty good.
Actually, from a budgetary point of view, this and all the I would say number 7, this one, and the Fulton Center have done financially well. We've done fine.
And we'll have an opportunity to discuss it with the independent consultant, independent engineering consultant as well.
Yeah.
Sorry for...
No, that's okay. The entrance number 1 at 69th Street, we had some delays. They had to do with an entrance that is being incorporated in the building, and we got significant pushback from the building co-op to the point that they were asking exorbitant amounts of money to allow us to do what we needed to do, although we had an agreement. So we looked at ways to mitigate it, and we expect very shortly that we have a mitigation in place that will not require us to go through these strange exercises that we have to go here. So I think that's a solved problem, but until we cross the T's and dot the I's, I will not call it that, but it's solving itself right now. So we'll be done. Next. 63rd and Lex. With some issues at entrance number 1. Anyone is familiar with Lexington, 3rd Avenue is a building that houses a store called Pookie and Sebastian that we had encountered some real problems with the utilities that were not expected. And we had some design issue, had to relocate stuff. Bottom line is that we have right now some possible delays of the contract, not on the critical path at all, but could be about 3 months delays on completing this station. We're working to see what we can do, but basically these are not contractor-generated problems. These are the things that popped up and that were unexpected that created that delay. So, but again, it's not on a critical path, so we don't see a problem with that. That's it regarding 2nd Avenue. I would just want to make a short comment regarding. Oh, I'm sorry. I'll wait for that and then I'll make the comment.
Any questions further from Michael on to the independent engineering consultant? Kent?
Yes, in our review of the project for the committee this month, a couple points I want to raise about the schedule. The schedule contingency by our analysis is about 45 days. We're not really comfortable with that with 4 years left in the construction of this project. We'd like to see at least twice that, if not a little bit more than twice that. We also are looking carefully at a recent 20-day delay at the 86th Street site. This site is on the critical path for the project. However, this particular delay was mitigated by the project team. We'll be looking at some of the details and the analysis behind that in the run-up for our next report to you. We don't have any budget or cost issues with the project. We have 2 recommendations for the project. First of all, back to schedule. there was a mitigation plan developed by the project to develop the 40 to 60 days that the President talked about earlier. We haven't until very recently seen any concrete steps to implement that plan. We would urge the project to put that on the front burner, as it were, and carry it out to see whether we can actually realize that amount of contingency gain from the systems contractor. Secondly, we have a couple contract administration issues. We feel the project needs to take a close examination of their contract administration and see if they can break up the bottlenecks. We have 2 contracts that have been complete for a year but yet to be closed out. We have a number of errors and omission issues that need to be brought to resolution with the contractors, and we've noted recently that the AWO backlog seems to be growing a bit. The 2 recommendations we made in September were agreed by the project team, and they are implementing the actions accordingly, and we would expect to close those out certainly by the next meeting.
Any questions or comments? Mark, to go back to your comment about contingency, we also have Capital Program Review Board issues to deal with when you move from one project to another. The way the city doesn't have that burden that we have to deal with, so that's also part of it.
And actually to add, FTA as well. FTA is tracking us. We have many people tracking us, so that's an issue. Just wanted to make a comment on East Side Access that we expect to be back in January, actually, with the CPOC to speak about East Side Access. We have received a particular bid or a set of bids, and the low bidder was very high, considerably higher than our budget. And at this point, we're analyzing it. We're looking to see how we can in fact, reconstruct the bids so we can see significant decreases in costs. So we are in the process of doing that. We're looking at the schedule as well, what are the impacts at the same time, and that's going to, in the end of the day, be a balance between schedule and cost, but we expect to reduce the cost to a certain degree, in a significant way, let me put it that way. I cannot say the same thing about the schedule that will be impacted. I don't know at this point how much.
Okay. Questions, comments? Okay. Thank you. Let's move forward with a report from New York City Transit. Philippe and Bronco. Good afternoon, gentlemen.
Good afternoon. I'll provide an update on station project. This is going to be a joint presentation. Capital projects update I will provide, and my colleague Branko Kleva will provide their efforts on operation side. So let's start with the project in master plan and design. Under the current project, we had worked at 165 stations, and then several categories of projects are there in the master plan and design. Since last reported, we did a good progress on renewal projects on a Pelham line and a Liberty line, and also on ADA project at 23rd Street, and hydraulic elevator and 2 escalator projects from this list. So we are 100% complete most of them and ready to award in first
Yep.
quarter of.
One second, please. Yes.
Could I make a request, please? Under ADA projects, you see how you have 23rd Street and 57th Street? When there's more than one station by the same name, it would be wonderful if you could provide the line. Thank you so much.
Okay. So we are ready to award those projects. We completed design early next year. Next one is the projects in construction. Since last reported, we improved the project completion category by 13 stations. We completed 12 stations on Western Line and Bleecker Street. Okay. Status of component projects, percentage progress is listed on the last column. To the right, the first 4 categories, we did good progress compared to last reported period. Again, the reason is we finished 12 stations on Western Line and also Bleecker Street Station. Next. So progress toward reducing backlog of defects on the stations. As of today, we have 76 stations which has 0% defect. And then this is improved by 13 stations compared to last report.
If you go back to the slide that shows the components, the defects cover, there's over 100 different categories of defects. They can be structural, columns, column repair, platform edge, platform surface, walls, canopies, roofing material. All are broken down when we do our condition assessment. And we identify all those conditions of those various elements by station for all stations. So when you hear the term condition of worse than 3, we've reported previously that the scale that we use is a 1 to 5 scale, 5 being the worst. So any condition that is rated 5 or 4, we consider priority for component and or renewal scope in our project, in our station work.
If you have one column that is tremendously rusted, I mean, that could be a serious defect in one column. But would that rise to this count, or is it a collective rating of the columns in the particular station? I mean, a 3 out of a 5, it makes a certain amount of sense, but what is a but the defect, because you don't know.
One column would be identified as a defect.
As a defect?
Yes. So we
So if
have
you've
multiple
So you've got
elements.
26 columns that are in bad shape, you get 26 defects?
They're all rated. So that category is identified for work, and the repair at that station may be a single column. Repair at another station may be 50 or 70% of the columns. And what we're tracking for you is the removal of those defects that were identified in the survey, the condition assessment that was done in 2008.
How often are How often are stations inspected for defects?
Well, you have various levels of inspections. Bronco can talk to you about the maintenance effort that's done on a regular, daily basis. But the tracking here that is shown for you is the condition assessment, a system-wide condition assessment of all 468 stations that was performed in 2008, and we're tracking for you the progress in eliminating the defects that were identified in that survey.
Okay,
And we
so
currently have a new survey underway.
Yeah, so since 2008, since 2008, to the top when there's stairs, only 3% have been corrected?
No, that's 3% since our last report to you.
Oh, since the last
Since
report.
last July.
I'm sorry. Okay.
Yeah, 78% has been corrected.
Right.
Oh, okay, I'm reading this. I just thought that the 78% were defective. Go ahead.
Okay.
So Fred, obviously, these are all snapshots in time, and having cured a defect, another defect in that same station could appear.
Yes.
So it's really periodic, reviews of each station are necessary to stay current. Is
There
that
are-
fair?
Yes, and what we're doing right now is, it's been 4 years since that last system-wide condition assessment for capital planning purposes. We're in the process of completing that survey, and we'll update a new universe of defects. So we'll be current going into the 15 to 19 program.
Got it.
When you say something like canopies, I mean, is a canopy, is that the shed roof over the passengers on
Yes.
a raised platform?
And you may have
So one
2 or
canopy-
3 at a station. You could have, if you have side platforms, you would have canopies on both sides, so you would have 2, the full length.
Okay,
Not
so
necessarily full
the
length.
canopy, by nature, if there's a defect in it, but it's the entire length of the platform, is
In the
one
case of
canopy?
canopies, yes.
We lost a bunch last month. More than the Rockaways, including in the Bronx, Pelham Bay.
The categories are not exactly intuitive to the uninitiated sitting here trying to actually get a mental picture of of the significance of what you're doing. I mean, the fact that that one column is one defect, and there could be 60 of them in a row along a platform underneath, and that's 60 defects, versus one canopy. I don't know. Maybe I'm just getting stuck in the.
In the detail. I mean, we're giving you a summary format here, but we have volumes that show the specific condition assessment that was done at each individual station, where we'll give you the detail of every single one of those elements, so you'll know whether it was one column or multiple columns that were identified, and they're rated 5, 4, 3, whatever.
I can see that that's useful for you, but in terms of communicating with at least myself, it's challenging.
The answer, I think, Fred, would be, sorry, one time that you come, give us one station and show us a cross-section of that station showing the various components and what is considered, where there's a defect and where there isn't.
We can do that.
Just one cross-section of a station, I think, would be really helpful.
Mm-hmm.
Is it, if I can continue it just for a second more, is a different way to look at at this detail a little bit more effectively to go to the next slide, where we're really talking about how many stations or what percentage of the stations have 0 defects, and our object is to change that circle graph so that it more and more of that blue shows up there, and that means that we have moved the whole system to a better place than it was.
Exactly. But here we're trying to reflect that, too, on the previous slide, where we give you the categories. Because I think, Andrew, you had asked the question previously, and we gave the specifics of how many stations are involved. Stairs at 167 stations were identified in 2008 as having defects. It may have been 1 staircase, it may have been 3 staircases, with a station that could have 5, 6 staircases. And we're tracking that progress.
That's kind of the problem, because quite honestly, stairs, it could be one tread where the metal edge has fallen off in a station, or it could be 6 staircases that are a complete wreck. I mean,
Well, the first example that you gave would be something that Bronco would tend to deal with maintenance. The scope has to get to a point where it's worth us planning for a capital reinvestment at the station. So it'd be much more extensive deterioration at a specific staircase. But the goal here is to track the progress for you, so you can see of the 167 stations where what's left. There's 16% of them that still have defects. And Andrew, you're right. When we complete the current assessment, we will refresh this. And the number may change. And it is possible that a station that we worked on in 2009 has another element or that specific category that has deteriorated in the last 4 years that now makes it a level 3.
Mark, on the staircase, one strip that makes it unsafe is one that Bronco folks will deal with as needed. But when you move from a maintenance operating budget approach to capital budget, as you know, very well know, a substantial complete replacement of the staircase, because underneath it's having problems and integrity and things like that. So, it might be, this is a capstone report. There's so much material underneath this, and you're asking for the material underneath.
I
We
am
can-
and I'm not. I'm asking for something that will actually enable one to get a sense for how badly off was it, what difference does this make? And the thing is, these items, you guys have a mental picture for what it means.
Oh, wait a couple of minutes. We're going to show you pictures.
Those are much better pictures than what we started with.
Recently completed projects after July, I'm going to provide the highlight. The first project is the Western Line. Next. Along the Western Line, the Bay Parkway station is one of them, and total we rehab 12 stations. At the Bay Parkway, this ribbon cutting ceremony was held on August 2nd. Under this project, by the way, this is the historic station, so we restored and we restored the historic element of the building. On this slide here, next one. We provided total 3 elevators, making station fully ADA accessible. Previous one, please, go back, yes. We provided artwork at the Bay Parkway station. This is on a mezzanine. And other artworks at the various stations. Next, please. All right. Next one is East 180th Street Station. This is a landmark building, and it was originally used by Westchester and Boston Railroad.
New York, Westchester, Boston.
Yes, New York Westchester. Thank you. Under this project, we restored and preserved landmark elements of the complex, and we also improved all the plaza area in front of the station. Next. We improved the entrances and also the control house at this station. Next. We provided 2 ADA elevators at this station, so now is ADA accessible. Next. The next project is the Bleecker Street station. Under this project, we constructed a free transfer between Bleecker Street and Broadway Lafayette station. This free transfer was open for our customers on September 25, and currently is used by 30,000 customers on a daily basis. Well, you can see the transfer there, and also the artwork we installed. Next. Under this project, we installed 5 elevators and 1 escalator, so the complex is fully ADA accessible. We restored original Bleecker Street terracotta nameplate under this contract. And of course, the artwork we installed right about that. The next 2 projects I'm going to talk about, they were completed under number 7 line CBTC project track outages. The first one is the Hunters Point. Work was done by our in-house forces. Under this project, we rehab platforms. Next. And of course, the refurbish this set.
Before you leave that first Hunters Point slide, I note that the ceiling there looks amazingly white. And I'm wondering, and to my mind, that makes a huge difference, just in terms of the way you feel when you walk onto a platform. Have we discovered a way to keep that condition, relatively longer than they have in the past?
It's liable to change from amazingly white to white after.
No, not really. We have painting cycles that we try to meet. In this case, Commissioner Blair, we were able to take advantage of those weekend outages that would inconvenience the folks on the number 7 line, but we did our best to maximize the amount of work we were able to accomplish. In this case, we were able to remove the peeling paint and put a new paint surface on because we had the advantage of those long outages. So it's just a matter of having the time to do the work in order to get around to the frequency we'd like to maintain.
All right, at this station, we rehab platform, as you can see, is a brand new platform edge, and we also repaired columns along the platform. This one, the last slide I have is basically the work done by small business mentoring project contractor. Under this contract, we refurbish stair and canopy. So this concludes my presentation, and Branko Kleva will provide update on their efforts.
Before we move on to Branko, are there any other questions? Yes, Jim.
I apologize for taking as much time as I have, but this interests me. I attended an Arts for Transit presentation up at the Hudson River Museum in the fall, or summer fall, I guess it was, and there was a television show on subway decoration, which was astounding, and you can see some of the artwork that was in that show in these slides, and I mean, it just makes a huge difference in my view in what we present to the public, and making that underground space into a joyous place to visit. I just, hats off to you. I will say that one of the heartbreaks to me was seeing some of that artwork in trouble as a result of this superstorm, and I hope that we're able to recover it.
Jim, the artwork is a double-edged sword, as you would imagine. Some people who believe that we ought not be spending any money on that. So I appreciate your comments. But one of the things we have done is we've put together a website, and there's an app that you can have on an iPhone or an iPad that actually lists all of the artwork. It's all been inventoried throughout the entire system. So if you're interested in knowing any part of it or want to know where the Liechtenstein artwork is in various different locations, you can easily look it up and go there. Yes, Mark?
Do we include the amount of money we spend in restoring sort of buildings that are, whatever that ex-railroad terminal was, for instance?
That thing that looked like New Mexico?
Yes. I mean, does the fact that we spend all the money making it look good count in our proportion for art that we spend?
No, it does not. The art is separate. We allocate 1% of construction bid costs for new art, but when we're dealing with a landmark station, in order to get full approval from state preservation and city landmark, we have to scope out whatever repairs are necessary.
Well, I'd love to pursue that subject for 30 seconds with you.
Right. Do you believe architecture is art? I think I know where we're going. Branko.
Good afternoon. In-house maintenance forces supplement the capital program by performing repairs, painting, and intense cleaning at selected stations where the capital component program is also performing work. The combination of capital and operating investments at these stations yield improvements that are more recognizable by the customer, which neither of these programs by themselves would accomplish. One example of this coordinated effort is at the Vernon Jackson station on the number 7 line, which you saw earlier, where the capital program did a platform edge and the column repairs, and the operating forces painted the station, fixed the stairs, and repaired the tiles on the walls. We started this program in 2011, and when the in-house forces perform work at 7 stations, This year, we're working at 12 stations, and we expect to do 12 stations in each of the next 2 years. Hopefully, we can keep our resources at that level. The enhanced station cleaning and maintenance program delivers a highest standard of cleanliness and maintenance at selected station complexes and at newly rehabilitated stations. These stations are washed more frequently and repairs are made in a shorter period of time. This program was started back in 2010 with 2 stations or complexes in each of the boroughs and has subsequently been extended to include newly rehabilitated stations in 2011, and 2012. By the end of 2011, we had 19, and by the end of 2012, we're going to have, we added 19 in 2011, and in 2012, we are going to have 59 by the end of this year, and we have one more that we're going to add next year. Again, we are limited by the resources we have. We cannot expand this program further than 60.
Questions? Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Bronco.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Now to Hillary Ring for the status report of the capital program.
Here are a few highlights. Regarding the issue of commitments, we're reporting at 51 major commitments through the end of November. Of these 51, 29 are being delivered on or near goal. 7 occurred but were late, and 15 other projects are late. We're projecting that by year end, we will have committed 64%, or $4.7 billion of the 2012 commitment plan. This is a reduction from the last time we reported. The main reasons for this is there were 2 East Side Access contracts which were not committed that we're planning to be, several bus purchases, and a signals project at New York City Transit. So those are rolling over most likely into 2013. Regarding completions, your report has 50 major projects through November. Of these, 27 are being delivered close to or on goal. 7 were completed but late, and 16 other projects are late and remain late. We project that by year end, the agencies will achieve 89%, or $5.2 billion, of the 2012 completion plan. Some of the slippage includes $210 million in transit station projects and $130 million in bus completions that are late.
That's it. Questions? Mark?
If you looked at your percentage of authorized commitments accomplished annually on average over the last 5 years, do you know what it would be?
I don't, but I can get that for you.
Jim?
Is there a necessary, is it necessary to conclude that when you have a 64% completion rate of commitments, rather, that that is going to push the schedule on everything that was planned to have been done had these come in on time, or can things be working in a sense simultaneously, and so it doesn't necessarily have that effect?
I think it's both. There are some things that will potentially move from one year to the next, which isn't as big a concern if it stays within the 5-year capital plan period. If things start moving out, if we're unable to commit within that 5-year period, then I think it raises questions. Some of the equipment purchases, like buses, for example, it probably is not going to have that big of an effect on pushing things out further. We'll just, we'll get them a little later. But I think that the main thing that we should be watching for is that if we say we need so much money in a 5-year period, then we should be making sure we spend that much money in a 5-year period and we can deliver on our promises. So I'm less concerned about a month-to-month slippage than if it looks like things are going to start slipping out of the plan.
Andrew, you're fine? Any further questions?
About half of that delta is due to one project, right? The commitment, if you look in the backup, is the East Side Access project. So it's actually more than half of that number, so we'd be up somewhere around the 80+%.
Okay. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. Seconded. All in favor? Aye. Thank you. The Security Committee will convene at 3:15.